Okay, so let's get started practicing drawing some trees and some different kinds of structures or houses that we could put in our trees to create our treehouse drawings. And this is just a practice day, so we're not going to get started on our final drawings just yet. We're going to work like artists and have a work through our creative process to get some ideas and practice sketches done so that we can make our artwork even better. So I'm going to start out with some hints about some trees. You might already have a way that you like to draw them, but something that I find kind of simple is starting with a letter Y. And I'm actually going to take my paper and make it into 4 sections so I can have different spaces to practice some sketches. These little sketches we sometimes call thumbnail sketches because they're pretty small to just gather some ideas. So if I start off with the letter Y, and I'm trying not to make it super straight because I want it to look a little more natural, but this is a good starting point to get a tree. And then maybe I want to make it a little bit thicker. I can just take my pencil and make my lines a little heavier. And then if I add extra lines coming off, sometimes I think about this as making more Y's and V's all hooked together. So I can just start adding some branches. One thing you might notice is this blank area here. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm doing that on purpose, thinking about when I do end up adding a structure in here for my tree house. So I am going to go ahead and leave a space for it, even if I'm not going to quite practice that part yet. But you can see that that is a pretty good way to start a tree. This tree obviously doesn't have any leaves on it, and so that could be a winter tree if we're going to think about different seasons for our artwork. If I wanted to add some foliage on there, leaves, I could do it on top of my branches too, just with some little puffs. This is kind of little cloud puffs on top of my branches. And you can see that I still have a nice space in here that I could add a tree house. So let's think of a different kind. Some tree houses are built on top of perhaps a dead tree. So maybe we could think about if there is just a tree stump, and I'm just going to make sort of a platform here on top. But I could do it as simply as just thinking about a tree that perhaps is hollowed out on the inside. I could even put some windows in here. Remember, our tree houses don't even have to necessarily be for people. There could be little animals that live in there. So that is a really simple way to start a base for a tree house. And I can even, in some of these spaces, maybe think, maybe I want a really old, sprawling tree. And I can still, this is going to be a little bit more advanced, but I could still think about my Y and opening up my branch. And I can continue to let these Ys grow as well. So here, and this one's going right into the other one. That is okay. This is just my ideas, remember? So this could be a really big, sprawling tree. And you can, of course, add other branches onto it as well. Just lots of little spaces. You could keep practicing trees. Maybe it's going to be one that has more graceful, curved branches. So you can think about that. I don't know about an evergreen tree with a tree house. I guess a big pine, maybe a big ponderosa pine that has a few strong branches coming off of it. And some of those, even though they're evergreen, most of their needles and foliage sort of are at the top of the tree. So you could even think about something like that. Just lots of practice ideas. So practicing some trees, and let's think about some structures. Everybody knows how to do the basic house like this, a square with a triangle. And you can go with something like that, but maybe you want to take it to the next level and have it a little bit more three-dimensional. I could start with that, and then if I want to extend my roof out a bit, and this one is we're going to make a line that's kind of parallel. That means the two lines are traveling. They would never cross each other. They could keep going on and on. You guys probably know what parallel means, but that's kind of how that line is going to go. And then this line would go down. And so that's a little bit more three-dimensional. Something like that could perhaps be sitting in the branches of that trunk. Let's think about a different shape or a different form. I've seen some really cool ideas where the treehouse is more of a cylinder shape. And so you could even think about, what is it made from? I would probably want to include a window in there. I could go ahead and do this. And even if I didn't want those lines, I'm not worried about this. This is my little sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if I wanted a roof on here, that could be sort of like a cone. And see, I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And then maybe I wouldn't want that line there in my final. But I can just kind of put that as an idea as well. So this is space to do all kinds of little idea sketches on. Let's see if I can think of another form that we could make for our houses. You could have little houses that are hooked together. Maybe there's a couple of trees with tree houses. You could have some that are joined by bridges. So if there's some kind of a tree here, and then maybe some sort of bridge that leads across. So lots of space to create ideas. This is the first step of our artistic process, is idea gathering and practicing some quick sketches without trying to make it perfect. So do a few different designs, and then the next class, you can think about which one that you like and you want to make it into your real drawing. And we'll watch a few more ideas and learn some more things later. Happy practicing!